Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Diana. Some of you may know me as the Sunday school teacher for Sunday School with Diana, which I used to teach that during the pandemic. When things were a little bit difficult, I was giving the classes in English, and so you would follow me on my Facebook page, Sunday School with Diana. But tonight, I'm not teaching a class. That's not what I'm doing anymore. We've gone back to a normal routine where we have our regular teachers on staff teaching the classes. Our church has a congregation that speaks mostly Spanish. We do have English interpretation, though, when we get visitors. For those that don't speak Spanish, we have interpretation for them, which is a good thing. But our Sunday school classes are held in Spanish. And what I wanted to do was just give you an intro to the curriculum that we use for Sunday school and to help you navigate the book that we use in case you have an interest of following the curriculum. I think it's important. It could be a little confusing sometimes when you're looking at the curriculum. So I thought, you know what, why not introduce people to the curriculum and they can make use of it. Even if you don't attend church, even if you've been hesitant in doing that, if you have an interest in historical content, then this is for you as well. Okay. So I will walk through it quickly. I won't take too much of your time. I promise 15 minutes max, if that. Okay. And I'm going to run through the English curriculum and also through the Spanish curriculum. Okay. So you can see the difference between the two books that we have and what we use. Our curriculum is on a quarterly basis. So right now we're nearing the end of the summer curriculum and we're going to start a new curriculum in September. The Spanish curriculum is semi-annually, so it's every 6 months they get a new curriculum base. So they have 2 seasons in one curriculum, in one book, and then the other 2 seasons in another book. So it's different, but you're learning the same exact thing. The content is not different. It is the same thing, just 2 different languages. So let's begin. Let me start by sharing my screen so I can show you. Yes, okay. So this is working. So this is the cover for Radiant Life Curriculum Sunday School. And again, as you can see here, we've got June, July, and August 2023. Okay, and we've got 2 units. So unit 1 right now, the focus, which means it's the first half of the summer curriculum, and that is the Acts of the Apostles. Right now, we're on the second half, and that is the life and writings of Solomon. That's unit 2. So this is your front cover. The book is about, it's about close to 45 pages, almost. Yeah, almost 65 pages. Okay, it's 8.5 by 11. It's not heavy. It is large print. So we're going to move on to here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the book or not. With a background, it's really hard. Right? You end up having a little bit of difficulty. But let's see, you can see it like this. Yeah, just a little, you can see it like that. So the book itself has a very large print. Right now, what you're looking at is somewhat small. It looks small because I condensed it, I adjusted it. But it is large print. So it's good for somebody who's visually impaired. Originally, Radiant Life had 2 types of study books. They had one that had large print for people that are visually impaired, and they had the other one that was standard in size. But I no longer see the standard in size one. I believe they've made it sort of like a one size fits all, and they're keeping the large print for both those that are visually impaired and those that are not visually impaired, you know. So that's what they're doing. So we're going to get started here quickly on this page right here that you see here. here you're going to see again, we're on Unit 2, the life and writings of Solomon. Okay, this is lesson number 10, and the title is Building the Temple. The date is August 6th, 2023. Now, for those people that are already on the curriculum, today you would have already studied and gone through lesson 10, okay? Because it's Sunday, for Sunday school. So you would already be past this and actually moving on to lesson 11, okay? And getting ready for next Sunday's class. In this case, our church is a week behind. And I say it's a week behind because since we're doing it on Fridays, okay? We're having the classes on Fridays instead of the actual Sunday. What happens is that we are now getting ready to start with August 6th, lesson 10. All right, and you're saying, well, why are you guys a week behind? Well, again, during the pandemic, things changed. Not everyone could be together in the temple, right? Things were complex, so we had to reduce time, the amount of time on a Sunday, and the pastor decided to stick to that schedule. It's also something that I personally think is probably helpful for many of the congregants, many people. You have some families that they either have elderly family members that require more time with them and children, right? So you need that extra hour at home will help you out and prepare you for the service on a Sunday. And what happens is that how it works is before we made these changes, you would get to church between 9:30 and 10, right? Class starts about 10:15. It goes for about an hour, okay, almost an hour, sometimes slightly over, right? And then that's about almost 11 to 11:15. You then have like a 20-minute break in between, get your coffee, change the children if you have to change them, the elderly, if they need to take their medications, they would have that time in between. And then the service starts. The service ends about 1:30. So if you think about it, by the time you get up, you get to church, you finish Sunday school, you have that break, and then you get started with the service and end the service, you've already used almost 5 hours of that time, literally by the time you get up and get going. Some people have to get up even earlier. If you have a few kids, you're definitely up first thing early in the morning on a Sunday. So it was a prudent thing to do, to keep it on a Friday, to give people that time that they need on Sunday to sort of go at a slower pace and not feel so rushed, okay? And they can focus on service, focus on the kids. The elderly could be a little bit more at ease. So it works. It's been working so far. So what we have here on this section right here, to get started, we're going to go here really quickly. I'm not teaching you the class. I'm just helping you navigate so you can follow with us on Fridays. If you understand Spanish, but you're not good at reading it or speaking it, you can follow with us still because you're understanding what they're saying. And if you don't, you can still follow this, right? God is not exclusive to one language. He speaks multiple languages. So whatever language you speak, okay, we ask God to help you understand. And that's the most important thing. Whatever you can grasp out of it, that little, whatever it is, it's the Holy Spirit to help you understand what that person's saying. And he will, most definitely, okay? So right now on the left-hand side, as you can see here, you have the study text, okay? And it's 1 Kings chapter 5, verses 1 through 18. Then you'll go to chapter 6, verses 11 through 13. Then 2 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 1 through chapter 5, verse 14, okay? That text, okay, those series of books with verses are going to prepare you for the lesson. They are the focal point of the lesson, okay? The central truth that you see here, every lesson has a central truth, okay? The central truth says meticulous instructions from God. require meticulous acts of obedience. That central truth, okay, is the centrality of the lesson. It's all connected, all right? The key verse is found in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 11 through 12. Okay, and you have two options here for the key verse. You have the King James Version, which you see right here, and then you have the NLT. The NLT is the New Living Translation. Well, what's the New Living Translation? The New Living Translation is a parallel Bible, okay? And basically, it simplifies it, okay? It does that comparison, okay, with what you will find here so you can understand it better. The King James can be difficult to comprehend. The English structure that it uses sometimes can go way above your head. You know, if you're not into history, you're not into antiquities, you may have a lot of difficulty understanding this. And what happens is it leads to misinterpretation. If you're reading it from the perspective of a modern environment, right? Sometimes you're going to see words that you say, oh, I know what that means. Well, wait a minute, it may not mean what you think because you're talking about a word that was used during a time where the grammar was different, the meaning was different. Over time, words change, definitions change, okay? So this parallel Bible, the New Living Translation, is going to help you understand what that means, okay? What this particular text means. Now, down here, you're going to see daily Bible readings. Daily Bible readings prepare you, okay? It helps you understand the lesson as you go along with it. So Monday is Adam and Eve's disobedience. You would read Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. Tuesday, Noah's obedience, Genesis chapter 6, 11 through 22. Then you go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And of course, by the time Sunday arrives, you are ready for that lesson. Now, once again, because we have it on Fridays, if you were to follow us on that Friday schedule, then you wouldn't be going through this one by one, right? Because you want to be ready for Friday's class. So you would have to double up, okay, on 2 of the days, actually 1 of the days. So you would do, since today is Sunday, right? Today is August 6th. You would do Monday and Tuesday today. Today, you would do Monday and Tuesday. You would do these 2 readings, okay? Tomorrow, you would do Wednesday, okay? And then Tuesday, you would do Thursday, right? Wednesday, you would do Friday. And Thursday, you would do Saturday. So when Friday comes, you are ready, okay? But again, this is how I would do it. You don't have an obligation to do it that way. It's just the way I would do it to be ready for Friday, okay? So this is what you're going to see in every lesson. It does not change. This is the same format. You will have it in every lesson, all right? You get started here on the right-hand side where you see this. It's going to give you an intro to the lesson, gives you an opening activity section. It asks you a question, and it wants you to write your thoughts. The teacher's going to ask you about what you think. The teacher just might ask you the same question, okay? And then you're going to continue to read the intro until you get to part 1. This is still part of the intro right here, all right? When you get to part 1, that's when you start digging in a little bit deeper. There's 3 parts to every lesson. So it's not like you're going to get to lesson 11 next week and suddenly you have 5 parts. Nope, 3 parts to every lesson always, okay? So now here we've got the parallel readings, okay? You have these books that are here, which you're finding in the intro on page 1. Go back to page 1 where we were. You're going to see it here, okay? And what it is that they have it outlined for you. They have the King James Version and they have the New Living Translation. This sort of makes it a little bit easier if you want to take your study book with you, just don't have time to carry the physical Bible, that given day your cell phone is not working for some reasons, you can't access the Bible online. Well, hey, it's here. This is what you have. It's right here. Okay. You get to choose which one you want to read from. Okay. So it gives you that opportunity to be able to catch up with the scripture. Moving on over here. So part one, this is part one. All right. And part one has its title, Wise Preparations for Building. Again, this is about Solomon's temple. Right now we're studying Solomon. Okay. So it begins with the subject, aid from a friend, and it guides you with the book and the chapter you have to go and read. Okay. And then it asks you a question in the end. It's going to say, for instance, how can we ensure that our relationships with unbelievers are proper and godly? Right. So that's the focus right here in part one. 1 Kings chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. Again, the second portion of part one, 1 Kings chapter 5, verses 13 through 18. It's also going to give you additional books and chapters in between the parts. Sometimes, depending on what they're speaking about, they want to be able to align it with what's written in the New Testament as well. Okay. So moving on to part two, the temple built. Okay. Now you're right in the middle. Now you're in the middle. Okay. So again, it's giving you the books. You got to go through 2 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 1 through chapter 4, verse 22. Okay. That's where you're going to find that in the parallel section. So over here, we have 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 11 through 13, walk, obey, and keep. And again, you can break up part one, part two, and part three in between the days as well. You don't have to read it all in one day. So for instance, you can do your daily readings and read part of part one with that daily reading, okay? So let's say if you followed the suggestion I gave and you did the daily readings for Monday and Tuesday today, you could do Monday and Tuesday's readings and then follow part of part one. And then tomorrow you would do, Wednesday's reading, and then you would do part of part one, the second portion. You can do it that way also if you want, okay? It helps you get through the week. So we have here where it ends with another question. What does the immense size and value of the temple teach us about who God is and how we ought to approach him? Okay, so these are questions that you want to keep in mind. Have a notebook. I mean, you're not going to have enough space to write in your book. Have a study notebook. Okay, so you can write down these questions that they're asking you and give yourself something to think about. Okay, and then part three, here we go, it ends, the holy utensils brought to the house. Okay, part three, God's presence fills the temple, and then the glory of the Lord filled the house. 2 Chronicles chapter 5, verses 7 to 14. And again, it ends with a question and even another question. And it shows you how to live out your life biblically in this section, living out. Okay, the description of God preparing a place to dwell among his people and then filling that place with his presence is both glorious and sobering. We long for the presence of God, and his presence moves us to a place of worship and self-examination. All right, so we went through the Radiant Life curriculum. You now know how to use it, what to do with it, and how to apply it to your life daily. And you say, well, I don't know about the New Living Translation too much. I don't have the New Living Translation Bible. I only have one Bible. That's what I can afford right now. You have a computer. I would hope you do. If you have a computer, then it's not an issue. I would direct you the way I always directed everyone whenever I taught the classes to BibleGateway.com. Always BibleGateway.com. You have a variety of options. So you have English, you have Spanish. Where it says all, okay, you have all types of Bibles here in various languages. various languages, okay? Of course, the ones we commonly use, so between English and Spanish. In the English one, again, I'm going to direct you. You can use the Amplified Bible. The Amplified Bible, the good thing about it, I'll show you an example, right? Is we'll click on this. Okay, and as you can see, that last session changed a little bit. It's going to give to you in brackets, okay, the definition of a particular word. So in other words, the sum of your word is truth. What is truth? What do you know as truth? And then it tells you in the brackets the full meaning of all your precepts. And you go, well, wait a minute, what's a precept? Wait a minute, I don't even know what that is. What is that? Well, go to the Expanded Bible, okay? And it's going to change that up for you. It's going to define the word truth differently. So let's click on the Expanded Bible. Okay, so here we go. It's different, right? It says your words are true from the start. Okay, so now it's explaining a little bit easier, okay, what the truth is. So it's saying from the beginning there's truth with God. That's what it's telling you. And then in brackets, it defines it. It says the head of your word is true, faithful, and all your laws, meaning your judgments, will be fair, meaning it's righteous forever. So you see, there's a difference because there's different levels of understanding. So I always recommend Expanded. I recommend the Amplified Classic as well. There are times I'll use the Classic depending on what I'm reading. Okay, so if you notice, it's different here from the regular Classic. It says the total of the full meaning of all your individual precepts, right? Whereas for the regular Classic says the full meaning of all your precepts. So I don't understand that. Some people go, what do you mean the full meaning of my precepts? And I, well, but okay, let me explain it differently now. It's the total, the sum of the full meaning of your personal precepts, your individual precepts. Okay. So you have options. I recommend these versions of the Bible. I also recommend the New King James Version, right? And the New American Standard Bible for its original roots in Hebrew. It's very geared to that. So it would be the 1999, the New American Standard Bible, 1999. Okay, that's what I recommend for you. So you have options. You would go to BibleGateway.com. Now, I'm going to show you briefly two more things. Let me get out of here. So we covered this, right? And then let me see if I can find the other one. Hold on. So I can go here. No, not exactly this one. Hold on. So give me 1 minute. I have the lesson and so I can disappear on this. Okay, so there we go. Okay, there we go. I didn't see it. I missed it. I'm going to share the screen in a few seconds. Not to worry. Not worrying about that. Okay, so now I'm just going to move quickly, okay, to something else really quickly. Okay, so now let me once again go back to my screen. Let me share it. Share. Okay, great. So you see this right here, right? This is a smaller version of the study book. It's a condensed version. And teachers have the ability to get access to this. Okay, again, it's sort of hard to look at it. This is what it would look like. Very small. Okay, it's a travel size booklet. And as thick as this is not the lesson that's that we're talking about. This is all of the lessons that you have from the bigger book in here. It's a condensed version. And this is actually good if you don't have time to bring the book with you, or you carry around with a lot of things in itself and say, look, I need something smaller. This is good for that. This does not come separately by Radiant Life. This actually is for the teachers. They can acquire this and they can use it, and we can obtain however many we want. But in any case, I like to use this because if anyone has an interest in it, I can make copies, and I can give it to the students. This is also really good for evangelizing, in my opinion. So I'll tell you why, because it's only 3 pages, very small, front and back, right? And so you can see here, this is the front page. This is the way it looks, the pamphlet. This is the back. So the reading page that you saw, right, on page 1 and the very first page of the lesson, right, is actually found in the back. Okay, they don't have it in the front, they have it all the way in the back. Okay, this is the condensed version. This is what it looks like. So when you open up the middle, you flip it, right? It's only 1 page, literally 1 page. You open up in the middle, and this is what your middle looks like. Again, it's condensed. So that's what it looks like. And I feel it's good for evangelizing. I think it's great for it. You know, the individual gets to have scripture. But again, this is something that you just can't hand out to someone and say, hey, read. No, go to it, just spend 5 minutes with them. You don't want to lose them in the conversation. You just want to navigate, and you want to show them how to use it. And so that way they can read it every day, you know? So again, it looks like this. This is the back, as I was saying. Okay, you want to see that. It's on this side. And then this is the interior, and the interior opens up. Okay, so you have this. This is what it really looks like. You know, again, it's a little hard on my background, but this is what it is. All right, it's 1 page. Literally, you open it up, it's 8.5 by 11. Okay, and it has everything that's in the adult guide. It has it in here, more condensed. Okay, so you can carry it with you. You can give it out if you want. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And then individually, what I did was I just took another copy to show you the back. So again, the daily Bible readings are in the back versus the front in the original study book. Okay, and this is the front page as it would be in the study book, but in the more condensed version. So it's kind of like a flip. All right, so this is what that looks like. We also have this option. It's not for individual sale per se. It comes with packages, teacher packages that you can request, student packages, meaning you ask for the whole thing. So really, it's one of those things that if you have an interest in it, I can look into it a little bit more. I can probably find out whether they would even sell it on an individual level. But from what I can see, whenever I've checked, it's always been held in the packages. So that is the adult student guide for Radiant Life. Now, we're just going to move to the last portion, okay? And that's the one in Spanish, okay? And the one in Spanish, as you can see, is different. You're looking at it, it looks very different from the one in English. The cover is different, okay? Because they have more than 1 unit that they're studying. They've got 4 units, okay? The date, as we can see here, goes from March to August. All right. And the 4 units is based on the letters of the book of James, how to study the Bible, okay, the Acts of the Apostles, and then, of course, the writings of Solomon. That's what's found in our guide for the 7 months. Okay, so la guía del alumno del adulto de marzo a agosto 2023. Ok, hay 4 unidades. La carta de Santiago, cómo estudiar la Biblia, los hechos de los apóstoles, la vida y los escritos de Salomón. Okay, so this is the Radiant Life curriculum, which is under the name Vida Nueva in Spanish. This book is small. Okay, it's smaller, but it's thicker. So it's a little heavier. And the lettering is smaller. This is how they had it for the English curriculum. Or when they had that English curriculum with the regular lettering, and then they had the bolder lettering, the larger lettering for those that are visually impaired, but they don't have this anymore. So briefly, I'll just go here. This is what the front page looks like, okay, for the Spanish version. And they have the same exact thing as we would have in our study material. The text, okay, the central truth, the verses that are needed, okay, the text, the key text, and then you have every single day of the week, okay, the readings, the same exact thing. The same exact thing with where they start and what they do. Okay, so they'll start here, and the title here, of course, is La Construcción del Templo, texto para el estudio, la verdad central, versículo clave y la lectura diaria, okay, de lunes a sábado. And so they have 3 parts as well. Okay, so let's go here. Same exact thing, part 1. And then they have part 2. What I did was I just put it together so that way when you open the book, that's what it looks like. And as you notice, the letters are smaller. All right, it's for someone that's not visually impaired. And then we have part 3. Okay. So again, you have the same exact thing, but in Spanish. Okay, and it asks you the same exact questions. It's all the same. All right. So this is what most of the people in our church use because they're Spanish speaking. It's a Spanish speaking congregation. So they have this book for the class. Okay. And so again, you know, it's no different. I'll just make it brief. Parte número 1, parte número 2 y parte número 3. La lección siempre tiene 3 partes. En cada parte tiene su texto bíblico y para todas las partes van a haber preguntas que le hacen a las personas, al estudiante, qué es lo que tú has aprendido en esa porción de esa lectura, ¿verdad? Eso es lo que hay que examinar. All right, so lastly, right here, which is the most important part, is always what is God telling you? And they're always going to ask you that. What is God telling you? What is he speaking to? What is he speaking about? Okay, and that's the most important thing. Bear with me 1 minute. So that's really it, guys. That's really it. I wanted to run through the curriculum with you very quickly, let you know how it works, what it does. And again, you can follow us on Fridays if you want. I will actually, what I would do is I will share the link onto my page on Friday. So you can follow the class on Friday with us. And it's going to be in Spanish. There may be interpretation. It all depends on how many visitors we get in the church, right? But if there isn't, at least you can get a partial understanding of what's going on and you can follow with your curriculum. You know, it's the best thing. In order for you to truly understand scripture, you have to know the history because they work hand in hand. Okay, you have to be able to understand the context, the material from that time. And that's very important. And it helps to keep us on our toes, basically. So I encourage you, okay, to join us this coming Friday. We're going to be on lesson number 10. If you would like for me, you don't have the book, you'd like to follow with this lesson in English, you can send me a message on the page, okay? And that would be Sunday School with Diana. Okay, you can follow with me and send me a message and I will send you a copy of what we're going to be studying for Friday, if that's what you want to do. All right, so bear with me 1 minute. I'm going to show you the page actually, just so you know where to go and where to message me at. Hold on. So I'm going to stop my screen for a minute and then find the page for you. I think that's the best way to do it. You don't get confused. Share my screen 1 more minute, I promise you. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I will share with you. I promise you, I will do that. All right, so now let me go back and let's share screen. There we go. Share. All right, so I'm sharing the screen again. So this is the page. All right, you guys are more than welcome to message me here. Okay, so this is the page right here. It's SSW Diana / okay, that's where it would be at. So let's say I'll do this here so you can see it. All right, this is what you're looking for. And you would send me a private message saying, you know, I would like the lesson for Thursday or Friday. To keep track and to follow along. Okay, and I will send you the condensed version of the lesson so you can print out and take it with you. Okay, so this is all for this evening. I think we're done here. And again, I thank you for your time. I pray you have an amazing week, that you have a blessed week. And I look forward to seeing some of you hop onto the class on Friday if you can. Okay, if you're Spanish speaking, you can hop in, then that's great. And if you don't speak Spanish, not to worry. You can always join us on Sundays, and I'll give that information on Friday and how you can join in on Sundays to see the service. But if you live in the Park Slope area, you live in Clinton Hill, downtown Brooklyn, you're more than welcome to join us on Sundays at 506 Bergen Street. And the service starts at 11. Most people arrive between 10:30 and 10:45. But it starts about 11 o'clock. Okay. If that's something that you have an interest in doing, you're not sure if you want to do it, you're afraid to do it, you don't want to walk in all by yourself, I totally understand you. You can just send me a private message if you want on my page and tell me I'd like to be there on Sunday. I would like to go, or I would like to go Friday. And I will leave your name with the usher and they will be ready to accept you when you come in. Okay. So have a blessed night. Enjoy your week. I pray you have a blessed week. And I hope you learn how to use the curriculum study and that it becomes a blessing and that it can be used as a tool for your everyday living. Okay. So be blessed. Have a good day and good night.